What happens when country music's golden girl finds herself caught in a fiery debate that spins completely out of control? Buckle up, because what went down between Carrie Underwood and the hosts of Today with Jenna and Friends is the kind of live TV moment no one saw coming. It began like any other cheerful morning show appearance. Carrie stepped onto the set, glowing, her signature blonde hair perfectly styled, a sleek navy blazer giving her that polished yet approachable look. Jenna Bush Hager welcomed her warmly, motioning toward the cream-colored couch that had been the stage for countless celebrity interviews. The atmosphere buzzed with the usual energy, cameras rolling, lights blazing, coffee mugs in hand. The conversation started light. Carrie spoke with her usual media-trained poise about tour life, motherhood, and balancing it all. But behind the smile, there was a subtle tension in her shoulders, a flicker only the most seasoned hosts might notice. Then came the question that shifted everything. One of the co-hosts leaned forward casually and asked, "So, Carrie, there's been a lot of debate lately about whether artists should speak out on social and political issues. What's your take on that?" The studio fell silent. Carrie's smile faltered for just a beat before she replied, "Well, that's certainly a loaded question. I think every person, whether in entertainment or not, has the right to their own opinions and the right to express them." Sensing the tension, Jenna tried to soften things, praising Carrie for always being thoughtful. But another co-host pushed further. "But don't you think that with great influence comes great responsibility? When you have millions listening, shouldn't you consider the impact of your words?" Carrie's body language shifted. She leaned forward, her tone sharper now. "I'm sorry, but are you suggesting I should censor myself based on how others might react? Because that sounds like a very slippery slope." The air thickened. Producers behind the cameras were visibly unsettled. This wasn't the sunny, feel-good TV moment they had expected. The co-host backpedaled quickly. No, that's not what I mean. I just wonder about balancing personal expression with public responsibility." Carrie didn't let it go. Her voice carried an unmistakable edge. "Public responsibility? So now I'm supposed to conform to whatever the popular opinion is at the moment? Because that's exactly what it sounds like you're asking me to do." By now, the tension in the studio was impossible to ignore. The audience at home could feel it too. What had started as a lighthearted morning interview had transformed into a live showdown, words hanging in the air with no way to take them back. Jenna jumped in with her host instincts, her voice taking on that carefully measured calm of someone trying to reel back a runaway train. "I think what we're all trying to say is that we admire how thoughtful you are about these complex issues. Carrie, no one's asking you to censor yourself." But Carrie wasn't buying it. Her eyes had gone sharp, her body angling toward the co-host who had pushed the question in the first place. "Let's be honest about what's really happening here," she cut in. "You invited me on this show to talk about my music, my tour, my life. But what you really wanted was to corner me into taking a political stance, so you could either praise me or tear me apart, depending on how I answered." The words hit the air like a thunderclap. Camera operators shifted uneasily. Producers exchanged frantic glances. Everyone knew this was no longer just an interview. It was a live powder keg. The co-host blinked, clearly rattled. "That's not true, Carrie. We're just having a conversation." Carrie's voice rose, controlled but seething. "A conversation? Is that what you call setting someone up with loaded questions designed to box them in? Where I come from, we call that's something else entirely." Another co-host foolishly waded in. "Carrie, I think you might be overreacting. These are fair questions people ask about public figures. The word hung in the air like a spark on dry kindling. Carrie's composure cracked. Her southern accent slipped through, sharper now, as she snapped back. Overreacting. So now I'm just a hysterical woman who can't handle a simple question? Is that the direction you want to take this? The tension in the studio was suffocating. Jenna, visibly panicked, raised her hands, trying desperately to calm the flames. Let's all just take a breath. This was supposed to be fun, lighthearted. Carrie swung toward her, voice steady but ice cold. Fun and lighthearted? With all due respect, Jenna, there was nothing fun about the ambush I just walked into. You brought me here under false pretenses, and now you're trying to gaslight me into thinking I'm the problem. The word gaslight sent a jolt through the room. It was a cultural grenade, and once it landed, there was no diffusing it. Nobody's gaslighting anyone, one of the co-hosts stammered, but the lack of conviction only made it worse. Carrie suddenly stood. The movement was so abrupt, the cameras jerked to follow her. She loomed over the couch, looking down at the hosts with a face that blended fury, disappointment, and something that looked dangerously close to betrayal. Her voice dropped, quieter now, but carrying more weight than any outburst could. You know what the saddest part is? I've been coming on shows like this for almost 20 years. I've always tried to be respectful, professional, to give you good television while keeping my integrity intact. And this is what I get in return. The silence that followed was suffocating. Even the background hum of the studio seemed to vanish. Jenna made one last attempt, her tone pleading. Carrie, please, let's just sit back down and start over. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Carrie locked eyes with her, pausing for what felt like an eternity. For a split second, it seemed like she might relent, but then her expression hardened. She shook her head slowly. A misunderstanding, she repeated, her voice low, steady, final. You know what, Jenna? I think I understand perfectly now, Carrie said, her voice cutting through the studio like glass. I understand this show has changed. Maybe television itself has changed. Or maybe I just never saw it clearly before. But I see it now. She rose from the couch with slow, deliberate movements. The cameras followed instinctively, operators torn between keeping the shot or cutting away. I came here as a guest, someone who has always respected this show and this network. I thought I was walking into a genuine conversation with people I considered friends. Instead, I walked into a setup, a calculated attempt to manufacture controversy at my expense. The co-hosts froze, exchanging uneasy glances, each waiting for the other to salvage the wreck. But no one spoke. On live television, silence feels like a spotlight, and it was shining directly on them. Carrie turned back one final time, her expression forged from disappointment and resolve. The studio lights caught the hard edge in her gaze as she delivered the line that would be replayed endlessly. You want to know what I really think about responsibility? She asked, her tone quiet but commanding. It's not about politics. It's not about platforms. It's about basic human decency. About being honest with people about your intentions, and about acknowledging when you've crossed a line. Jenna shifted uncomfortably, her trademark warmth replaced by something closer to panic. Carrie, I want you to know, that was never our intention. Carrie's lips tightened into a faint, almost bitter smile. Your intention, she repeated. Do you know what road is paved with good intentions, Jenna? Because I think we all learned that lesson when we were kids. The words hit like a hammer. Behind the cameras, you could almost hear the winces. This wasn't just a testy exchange anymore. This was a soundbite destined for every headline and highlight reel. One of the co-hosts, desperation edging their voice, tried to salvage what little was left. Look, maybe we did come across more confrontational than we meant to. If that's the case, then we apologize. Can we please just reset? Have the conversation now we should have had from the start. Carrie studied them for a long, heavy moment, as if weighing whether the apology was sincerity or spin. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, but there was no mistaking the finality in it. Do you know the difference between a mistake and a pattern? She asked. A mistake happens once, and you learn from it. A pattern is something you choose to repeat, again and again, even when you know better. She let the words hang in the air, her silence afterward more damning than any outburst. And this isn't the first time. I've sat on couches like this before and felt the same thing, Carrie said, her voice cutting like steel. Like I was being set up for failure. Like the smiles were just a mask while the knives were being sharpened. But I'll tell you this. This is the last time I allow it to happen. The chill in her tone rippled through the studio. This wasn't just about this interview anymore. This was about the entire machinery of media, and everyone in the room knew it. Jenna leaned forward, desperation breaking through her polished demeanor. Please, Carrie, don't let one bad moment define your relationship with this show, or with us. We can fix this. Carrie shook her head slowly, a sad, almost pitying smile tugging at her lips. Some things can't be fixed, Jenna. Some things can only be learned from. She gestured broadly toward the cameras, the lights, the whole set. All of this machine, it's supposed to be about connecting with people, about sharing stories and bringing joy. When did it become about gotcha moments and manufactured drama? The question hung in the air like an accusation. No one dared to answer. Carrie's voice gained strength, conviction pouring out of her. I've spent my career trying to be someone people could respect, someone parents would feel good about their kids looking up to. I've used this platform the best I could, responsibly, thoughtfully, honestly. And if that's not enough, if you need me to play some other role, then maybe this just isn't the right fit anymore. With that, she rose. The sound of her heels striking the studio floor echoed like a drumbeat in the silence. Cameras scrambled to follow her, unsure if they should stay live or cut away. But no one moved to stop her. Just before reaching the edge of the set, Carrie turned back one last time. You know what I hope people take away from this? That it's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to say no when someone tries to put you in a box you don't belong in. And it's okay to walk away when staying would mean losing who you are. Then she was gone. Carrie Underwood walked off the set of Today with Jenna and Friends, leaving behind stunned hosts, a shaken production crew, and millions of viewers who had just witnessed live television history. The cameras lingered on the empty space she had left, as if willing her to return. But the only sounds were the low hum of the equipment and the hushed whispers of crew members scrambling to figure out what to do next. And just like that, a routine morning show had turned into one of the most explosive and unforgettable moments in daytime television.